Okay, so I will do the roll call if you like for the
All right,
OCE
would you
meeting
please?
today. Okay, Crawford Carpenter,
Crawford Carpenter, I'm with CAB and pleased to be here with you today.
Brenda Lee,
I'm present and hopefully accounted for.
Scott Parsons,
I am here.
Evan Decker.
Also here.
Okay, all board members are present for a quorum.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to walk you through how we will start the meetings going forward, or this will be hopefully Evan's choice. And I'll start with, this is the Outreach and Community Engagement Standing Committee of CAB. Let's set the table for those in the audience with some housekeeping items. Oh, you'll love this. Let me shut this off. Too many phones ringing. Okay, for those in the public, and we don't have anyone at this point in time, we're going to ask them to keep their participation on mute. But for those of us that are on the committee or board members, there's no need to do so. We'll ask that those on the outside use 6 to mute, or #6 to mute and #6 to unmute. And the way this process will work is we'll always hear comments from our board members first. And then if there are people from the outside or the public, then we'll hear comments from them. Let's review our purpose. Our purpose is to assist CAB in gathering and providing information pertaining to the county's efforts in criminal justice reinvestment. Some of our responsibilities are to identify outreach methods, to engage the community regarding initiatives related to public safety realignment. Also, to improve public access to information regarding realignment, to provide membership cultivation and succession planning for CAB, to nurture CAB's ambassador program. You did hear a great deal about that from Scott at our retreat. And then finally, to organize the annual new member orientation, which this year was our retreat. We want to say that we are grateful to those of you who are members of this committee, and we so appreciate your commitment. So thank you, Evan. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Scott. And to you and for me, Monique, we're just here. No thank yous for us. But thank you for the three of you, Scott, Brenda, and Evan. Okay, let's get to work. We've already been through our introductions. There are no outside people. Would you introduce yourself briefly, Monique, and just share how you will be working with us?
So yes, I am Monique Tate. I am with the ORJ, and I am here to assist with the community advisory body in any area you need assistance with, posting agendas, helping to collaborate with you all, reaching out to the community, etc. So many of you I've already been in close contact with, but please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need assistance or questions. Any question is a good question, and I am here to serve and support the body. Thank you.
And thank you, Monique. Let's move to our next item here. We've gone through our welcome and we've gone through our introductions. Let's move now to announcements. Are there any announcements by anybody here? Any announcements? Scott, please.
Yeah, just a quick one here. I wanted to share with everyone that I'll be putting in a proposal with my Rotary Club for, this sounds like, wow, way in advance, but it isn't in terms of planning. The next Christmas, the holidays, to have our club, and it hasn't been approved yet because I haven't submitted the report, but it will be to work in collaboration with the sheriff in a Sunday visiting children's workshop. And this would be to make Christmas wreaths, children visiting parents that are incarcerated, make Christmas wreaths, ornaments, and some other things that a parent that's in custody could help with their child to make during the holidays for bonding. So I'll keep you all advised on it and let you know if that gets approval.
Wow, well, thank you, Scott. Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, moving next to the next item, which is agenda item number 3. That'll be approval of the minutes from our November 15th meeting. Would you put those up briefly, Monique? I believe that's attachment 1. There we are, pages 4 and 5.
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Is there discussion? None being heard, let's call the vote.
Okay, Crawford,
Aye.
Brenda,
Aye.
Evan,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
and Reverend Van Hook has joined us. Would you like to vote on the minutes from last time in November, Reverend Van Hook?
I don't think I was there, so I'll abstain.
Okay, so you certainly can abstain, but I reached out to the clerk of the board. Crawford, this is for you as well. I reached out to the clerk of the board because we have new members that I thought may abstain since they weren't present. So even if you were not at the meeting, you can vote on the minutes if you reviewed them. However, you can
yes.
abstain as well. It's totally up to you.
No, but thank you for that information. So yeah, let's go ahead and pass those.
Okay, all right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being proactive with that, Monique. That's helpful. All right, then. We called the vote. Would you announce the results?
So motion carries.
Thank you.
Minutes are approved.
Okay, next item. This is attachment 2. And the next item here is the membership status at a glance. Would you be kind enough to put that up on the screen?
Also on this one, Crawford, I'm going to put up the updated item. So at the time when I posted this, I didn't have everything updated. So I do have it right here. So I'll put up the updated item, which is here.
Oh, great, great.
Okay, here it is.
Okay. And what we do here, since we're the outreach and community engagement, and we're responsible, or this committee, for recruiting, we always want to like to take a glance at where we stand. First of all, where do we stand on the composition of OCEC? You can see where we are right now of Brenda, Evan, Reverend Van Hook, and Scott Parsons. And you'll see me here, and hopefully this is the last time, only as the temporary chair for this meeting. Now, moving to your right, you'll see the next committee, which is Programs and Services. They appear to have a full contingent. They've got Ozzy as the chair, LaTanya as the vice chair, Rena Moore as the recorder, and Joel Nickerson Shanks who has moved to that committee. And he was on OCEC last year, but in order to make room for Evan to move to this committee, he consented to moving to programs and services. So we thank Joel for doing that to help us get this committee structure right. And then finally, moving to your right again, we have policy and budget. You'll see Nicole Green is our chair. Justin Van Zerber, a new member, will be our vice chair, and Lenita Mims will be our recorder. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell. Let's go back. Are there any questions? All right, since we don't have questions, then we have an issue. And the issue is we are shy of 3 alternate members. So one of our first tasks will be to see if we can fill those alternate member slots on this particular standing committee. And by the way, Monique, thank you. I noticed you did get a notice out to some of our partners that we're working with, because I saw it in my county supervisor's weekly email. So we want to continue to push that. And then I might ask that either Scott, Brenda, Evan, or Reverend Van Hook, if you happen to know of anybody that might assist or has interest, if you could get them in touch with Monique, and let's see if we can fill up these vacant roster slots. So without any other comments from me, any comments from you, Monique, as to the efforts maybe that you take when we have vacancy situations? I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So what we do at our ORJ is we continuously provide the outreach, like you said. So we haven't really done our constant contact yet, but because we've been stating it, so some of the supervisors, and I'll give credit to Jill Ray and Elisa Robinson, they probably reported out to their colleagues and it was included in the newsletter. So we're hoping that that effort pays off, where they'll continuously do it as a standing item on a regular basis, so that we can continue to keep the outreach going. But Patrice and I met the other day, and we'll be putting out a new constant contact outreach to our listserv, and that'll be a more global outreach. And we'll just do it on a regular basis. I know, Crawford, you've reminded me to make sure that we stay on top of that, and we will. So we'll do it on a regular basis until we fill that position, those 3 alternate positions, and hopefully just have some applicants on reserve, if you will.
Well, thank you, Monique. And maybe just to share with the rest of the group, last year, we were able to put together for OCEC a list of public contacts. And for example, Monique just mentioned, we do contact our board of supervisors. We have their representatives, which is fabulous. On that list, and this will be something we'll be talking about later, we have a list of every city in Contra Costa County. And in that list, we have a contact person at the mayor's office. That list will have to be updated. It's easy. The hard part was getting the list, let me tell you. You have no idea how hard that was. And then in addition to that, we have a list of the state senators that serve as Contra Costa County. We got the doggone phone number, so we call them, and then all we need to do is get the current individual, again, kind of checking in. We do the same thing for the state assembly or our general assembly. And there are a bunch of them. We've got their names, by George, the phone numbers, and we will call to verify that those individuals are still available or if they'll have an update for us. So that's the way we've expanded. As you know, our name is Outreach and Community Engagement. Well, by George, we've been outreaching. So that'll be our bailiwick that we can work through and work from, in addition to any personal contacts. And Evan, since you're tied into the junior college system, I believe, it would be absolutely wonderful if we could make a presentation to maybe your administration of justice department so that we could get some students. I think this would be an ideal opportunity to bring some students into the fold. We were able to work with Matt from Diablo Valley College, and we did get somebody on kind of a temporary basis. But if we could get some students involved to be members with the caveat that they can get, hopefully they can get course credit. And if we could do something like that, then we've really done a bang up job. So I think we've got those steps in motion. So Evan will kind of lean on you a little bit and see if we can make something like that happen. So that's kind of a review. Are there any other questions or comments? Brenda, anything from you that might pique your curiosity here?
No, I'm still listening.
Okay, fine. Evan?
I do like the idea about going to the junior college, because that is, yeah, we definitely should, reach out to the students that are into, criminal justice. So that piqued my interest. Yes.
Okay, well, good. Okay, we got you again now. Brenda, be careful because
I am. I'm going to be quiet for the rest of this meeting. I have nothing else to say.
Okay, Brenda. So
I did have, I guess, a couple questions. It's a great idea, Crawford, reaching out to the Agile department. I think they'd be excited to hear more about CAB. For the vacancies, I know there's shared, maybe I have the old one here. I guess, Monique, would you mind scrolling down to the attendance, the membership chart again? In consideration of the vacancies, is there when kind of consideration around the kind of sub-region, because I'm thinking of other community college folks. Is there consideration of, having too many folks from a particular organization, or they're not here at CCC, but, is there kind of consideration around who fills the vacancies and like what areas or focus, or are we just excited to have people that are interested in their, within their personal mission or value, want to be a part of it?
good question. And let's start with, if you go back to our original charter, we seek equity in the 3 regions, but we can't worry so much about the equity of the regions that we don't fill our board. Right now, we are levered towards West County. We need Central County representation. But if somebody comes to us tomorrow or the next day, and they happen to be East County or West County, and they pass the vetting of this particular standing committee, then we move forward.
Okay.
So we don't want to let that stand in the way of filling our board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Good question. Anything else, Evan, by the way?
No, I can reach out to our department chair for
Okay.
administration of justice and definitely get that set up. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And either Scott or I I don't know about Scott's time because, by the way, the reason Scott had to step down, he's now the president of his Rotary group. And I don't know about his time. He was gracious to stay on with us here, and we thank you for that, Scott. But if you would like us to give that PowerPoint, either Scott and I could do it together, or I'll try to make some time and we could go over that PowerPoint. We did that with Matt at Diablo Valley College, and that led to us getting one member on a temporary basis. So we'd be willing, or at least I would, and I'll
Okay,
see if we can. Okay, good. We'll twist Scott's arm a little bit.
Yeah, not a problem. I'd be happy to help.
Okay, so you've got the resources to work with, Evan. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay, good, good. Any other questions regarding our situation here on our membership status, where we stand, etc.?
Is there, I remember, I think Monique reached out to me and shared like a little information. If we're gonna reach out to our own networks, is there a nice template or something we can share and say, hey, this is what it is?
Monique does have that information. And if you have a candidate, just get in touch with Monique and she'll handle it with you, for you, etc.
Okay, great.
Any other questions, Scott?
Not
Evan?
at this time, no.
Okay, and Brenda, I know you're listening, so we're not going to say anything.
Okay.
Okay, Brenda. All right, can we move, unless there are any other questions? I'd like to move here to item number 5. And on item number 5, we're going to see if we can nominate a chair for ECEC. And I would like at this time to nominate Evan Decker as the chair of OCEC. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll take Brenda as the second. Is there any discussion? Other than, we got you, Evan. So now then, let's move to a vote. Can we call the vote, please?
Yes. So we're calling the vote to vote for Evan Decker as the new chair for OCEC. So
Yes.
Crawford Carpenter,
Aye.
Brenda Lee,
Aye.
Scott Parsons,
Aye.
Evan Decker.
I think, do I have to abstain from this one, Monique?
No, you don't. You can vote on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Aye.
So Reverend Van Hook, he was locked out of the meeting. I think we're having some technical difficulties because he sent me a message saying that he sent me the message. He's having a hard time getting back in. So I will say motion carries, and I will work with him behind the scenes to try to help him get back in the meeting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Evan. We really really appreciate you being able to step up and to maybe give us a different viewpoint. And again, Scott will be available to you. I'll be available if there are any questions. And I just look forward to working with you. And again, many thanks. And most important, would you share the culinary situation at your college? And that's where I'm going to meet you. I am going to go to the college over there in West County. I'm going to be able to meet Evan personally, and we'll do a little more than the cup of coffee that we had, Scott, when I first met you.
Oh, wow, so you're stepping it up now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and anyone's always welcome. Yeah, we have a culinary program here at CCC, and since the semester just started, they're not quite open yet, but we have a restaurant And once that opens in a couple weeks, they serve lunch from 11:30 to 1, maybe it's 1 or 1:30, Tuesday through Thursday. Yeah, it's very, very economical. And the later you get in the semester, the better the food gets. But it's never horrible. Not sure what the theme of the menu is this semester, but it's a good time. It's a nice setting. You get to see nervous students learning their craft at waiting tables. It's always a good time. So Crawford and I were talking, and he's more than welcome, and any of you are welcome to come out and have some lunch with us.
Great, great.
I didn't have that. I'm a little jealous. I didn't have that to lure people to assist me as the chair.
Yeah. Well, you're more than welcome to come, Scott, and get some food. And
I'll have to take you up on that at a point.
hopefully that'll make up for any misgivings.
Well, hey, Brenda, what we have to do, and we'll be coming to this later, it'll be the onboarding process. We started this year of at least, or I did, of trying to meet with new members. If I couldn't meet with them personally, we would set up a Zoom call.
Okay.
And when we couldn't get a Zoom call with new members, then we would try to do coffee. We've been from coffee to Panera Bread, and now we're going to be over at the Culinary Institute. So
I've done both. So,
oh, you have? Oh, great.
oh yes, yes. My daughter graduated from the culinary arts program. So
You're
I'm well aware.
kidding.
No, I'm not. And Panera is one of my favorite places. So
Oh,
there
my
you go.
goodness.
Yeah.
Great.
Talking about something in common. Too
Yeah.
much. All right, then.
Brenda knows the Aquaterra is a little West County
Yes.
gem. You got to know about
Yes.
Aquaterra if you live in West County. So.
Oh,
Definitely. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions here? And Evan will be going through the agenda. We have both gone over this agenda, and he'll be leading the meeting next time. Evan, anytime you want to step in, or if you want to lead the rest, let me know and you can do so. I'm here to assist.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we have you continue with this
Okay.
and then I'll pick up on the next one. I appreciate it.
Okay, fine then. Let's move to the next item then. Next item, item number 6. Item number 6 here should be a brief review of our OCEC charter. By chance, Monique, could you put that up here? And we covered like the name of our committee and our purpose. Can you scroll down just a little bit to number 3 here, where you can kind of look at, these are our responsibilities. And they're kind of far reaching. And I must admit, it's difficult to get all of this done. And I would say one of the most important things is, let's do what we can do and do it to the best of our abilities. And I think that's a better approach than to list all of these doggone things when you get to a work plan. And then all of a sudden, you say, well, gee, we didn't do item D, or we didn't do item G, or this. Well, sometimes there's just not enough time, but we will do our level best to follow through with the various responsibilities in conducting our work plan. Are there any questions before we move to item number 7, which is the actual work plan? All right, may we go then to item number 7. Scott, maybe you could help out here. This was the work plan last year. And I believe Scott and I had similar impressions of it. It was just too doggone long.
Hmm.
And we got things done, don't get me wrong, but boy, it was a stretch. And
Yeah.
go ahead, Scott.
Well, I don't have too much to add to this. I think at first I looked at it and I didn't quite understand the purpose so much in it, and the timelines. And so we corrected the timelines and I understood the purpose a little better as time went on. And the reason was, when I first came to OCEC and actually to CAB, because they were simultaneous, we had such a membership cultivation challenge at that point, that it seemed like the world was driving what we did rather than a work plan, right? What I learned, where I learned to value this was in those moments when we had everything under control, I could look to it and refresh my memory on what we're supposed to do, right? And so I felt at first it seemed like it didn't have a purpose, but then in those lulls in activity, it was a great source for me to look at and go, okay, hey, we need to work on this. The thing that I mentioned in the orientation that we had that, I wish, and I think you were alluding to this, Crawford, I wish we had a little more time for community outreach. It's just that, none of us wanted to be preoccupied with membership cultivation. It's just the way things drove. I'm hoping this year, and not just because there was maybe a lunch offered, I would like to work with our new chair on a couple of public presentations where we actually market who we are and try to recruit with some real purpose. We didn't have that opportunity, I don't believe. And I think the success there is all in the hands of Monique and Patrice, who did the outreach, and the two board of supervisor folks that marketed our position. So I wouldn't necessarily change this so much. That's why I kind of went passive on this, Crawford, is I thought it served a purpose, in between storms.
Sounds good, Scott. Sounds good. Well, any other comments? Then might we go through then for membership cultivation? If you look at task 1, is this something that we would want on the next work plan? I'm not so sure, but again, it's your committee, and those of you on the committee, you decide.
It would seem like to me, given the concern over retention in CAB, that this might be an important step. Depending upon where the information is kept, and yeah, I guess like that for a lot of the things, I'm wondering, like, where is the information kept for members to go and view, and if I'm understanding this task correctly, right, it's an opportunity to kind of get to know all the members of the committee, and share maybe if they have any particular specialties. And I don't know if I'm thinking about it too deeply, or
No, I think, if you don't mind, Crawford, I'll respond to
Oh,
that.
go. This is your committee.
Well, so I That is a good observation on your behalf. And I think if you notice here, it says from January to December, which is, ongoing, right? It's constant. We should probably always be assessing our talent base or our knowledge base, however you want to, describe it, and maybe target some recruitment if we're becoming lopsided. As it was, that I don't think was the issue. The issue was that in terms of area of county, we had a huge gap with West County when I came on. And collectively, I think we addressed that. So I like it being here just because it reminds us that we should always be assessing our collective knowledge as a board, and are there any gaps where we could target, right, for recruitment.
Excellent then. So task 1, the committee will leave that for the coming year. Excellent observation.
I'm curious though, in terms of the timeline, right? Because while yes, it's important to kind of always be doing that, in terms of the context of a year, and there's only so many members, I'm wondering if that would be like something you would want to kind of get done between January and May, right? And then
So that is, we had that debate as well, by the way, and that's a good observation. Also, the problem that I've noticed with CAB is that, yeah, we speak in terms of a year, but because of it, it's such a dynamic environment in terms of our demographic and our participation in with members, that to target it, well, every February we should look at this. You could look at it in February, but really be in kind of distress by June. So we kind of decided, maybe we just need to continually assess what our next membership could maybe look like if we're starting to experience a gap. And in a way, we did that earlier when Crawford started speaking to, wouldn't it be nice to solicit someone from, as a student, at the community college to participate? And that is a very good observation that I think we should constantly be having. So, obviously you're the chair, and if you wanted to put a date on it, I'm not adverse to that, but we just felt it was something that we needed to do almost at every meeting.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay. Any other comments for task 1? Task 2 then.
So, task 2 and 3 have largely been, and Monique, you can kind of comment to this because it's really, a volunteer board member and staff collaboration on this, right?
Yeah, can you scroll up? Because we're still on membership on task 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, up in here. Thank you, Monique. Okay, now clarify that if you would, please, Scott.
Well, yeah, and once again, because of what we experienced, some of these did have a specific date, if you remember, Crawford, but then when
Yes.
we really talked about it, these were things because of the kind of the volatility in membership that we were experiencing, good people coming on, but good people needing to leave, that this was an ongoing, I mean, all the way around the year. Really, task 2, the application being on websites and outreach to county and city boards, commissions, and CBOs is something that I think we've all agreed need to be on a continuum.
Correct.
I agree. I know Scott asked me to chime in. So yeah, we definitely, as I stated earlier, ORJ will continuously do outreach on our end with the different platforms, like our constant contact list of individuals that have opted in to our listserv. And then also, with the different county officials, we're constantly doing outreach when we have our partners and providers meeting. And I serve on a few committees representing ORJ on Patrice's behalf. And we're always basically sharing with the groups that CAB, how often CAB meets, the work you all do, and that we continuously are recruiting for members.
Sounds good. And basically 2, 3, and 4 are ongoing, and we should, at least in my view, and again now, the committee should make the determination. Those are ongoing actions and things that we or you will be doing. So that should be no difficulty. I did notice one thing here. Go take a look at task 3. And I guess I'm one for identifying specific items. And guess what? We didn't, Monique and Scott, last year list all of our CBOs and the contact people there to get membership. So maybe that should be a task for this year. And then that would complete our directory, basically. And then we'd be in great shape, because be it county, be it city, be it state, etc. And doggone it, we didn't do CBOs last year. So by George, maybe if we could separate that out as a separate, or however you think the best way to approach that, Monique or Evan or Scott or Brenda, what do you think? Because we don't have detail for CBOs.
Yeah, that's a good observation, Crawford. And I actually thought maybe we had done that, meeting you, Monique. So am I incorrect? Is that the case, that we didn't really reach out to any CBOs?
I don't think that we reached out to CBOs specifically, but all of our CBOs are included in our constant contact. They're part of the partners and providers, a group that we convene at least 4 times a year. And then some of them also serve on the CCP meeting. So so I wouldn't say we have a specific list for CBOs, but they are all included in our listserv.
So that could be collated and formalized fairly easily?
Yes, because they're a part of the list that we send out on a regular basis. So all of them are included, but we don't, maybe what we can do, Crawford, on the county list that I am updating, we can have a section specifically for CBOs. How about that?
Excellent. Yes.
Okay.
And the other thought is, the list that we put together, Monique, for state representative, city, boom, et cetera. We should send that to each of the committee members. So
Okay.
they have it. And they can see, because they may on their own want to reach out. If they have a particular project or something that of importance to them.
Well, what I could do, Crawford, is at the next general meeting we have in February, that can be an item on the agenda that can be, shared with the members. And then at that point, the members can, state, and we, like, this document will always be updating, right? So they can provide input. Now, another thing I wanted to say is that for the that particular list, hold on, Crawford, I just lost my train of thought. Basically, we can add that to the next month's list. I'm sure it'll come back to me, whatever I was thinking specific to that, but we can add it to the CAB list for.
Question: Do we need to wait for the general meeting to do that? Can't we do that prior to the general meeting?
We can, and my thought came back to me. So, so Patrice and I have been talking about working on a repository for the board members to be able to store all of the items that you may need. And that would be an item that's stored in our, it'll probably likely be some type of a box like Gmail box where you have a resource folder, and those items will be there for your use at any time. So that's what we're talking about. And I'm working with our IT department to see what the county would recommend as far as the most secure form of repository for you, for the CAB members.
Okay, I guess I'm just looking for, like, all the other lists we put together, they're not in a repository yet. I guess my thought is, let's get that, we don't have that many CBOs. What are there, 8, 7? Well, couldn't
Wow.
we get that list right away? Here's the CBO, here's the contact there, here's the phone number, here's the email, and at least have that as a starting point.
Absolutely, we can definitely do that.
Okay, and then see how the board wants to move forward, even if they do, to say, here's your resource toolkit or repository, etc. But maybe we could, kind of jumpstart it at OCEC. That was, I guess, what I was trying to get at.
Okay, I can definitely share that with the members for sure.
Okay. Okay, so now you will then, what, get us, that information will be available for our next meeting?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, we did it. Okay. And if you go to task 5 here, we are already basically, that's an ongoing item of interviewing prospective CAB members. So that should probably, I shouldn't say probably, should be left there. So that's membership cultivation. Is there anything else that somebody would like to discuss or have a thought about?
Well, I guess my only observation is on the update. I see Mark Thomas and Scott Parsons,
Yes.
blah, 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 on the right column. I don't think, obviously, Mark is going to be working on that. And there's just some, and the other thing, Monique, it may be important to note that, like, for instance, task 4, all OC members, but also, staff plays a role in certain things. And certainly in that, creating an application pool and some of these others. So I think it's nice, particularly for new members that don't exactly know what the relationship is between us, to look at this and know, hey, staff and the volunteer board work collaboratively to achieve these things.
So in this column here,
Yeah, that one there, and I mean, we
okay,
don't need to do it today, but at least that should be updated.
was similar to this. So the entire thing will be updated because this is the draft of 2022.
Yeah.
So it will
Yes.
definitely be updated per your suggestions from this committee, but it can say something like all OCEC members and ORJ for those that are apply.
Yeah.
That's what you're asking, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I will update it on a Word document and I'll have it for your review.
Any other questions? May I suggest that we add a task 6, and that be develop, if, that's if OCEC thinks it's necessary, is to develop an onboarding process for new members. Because we don't have a formal onboarding, because under the heading of membership cultivation, we don't have a onboarding process, and it might be something for this committee to consider so that it's not like on an impromptu basis, the way that it's been in the past. Evan or Brenda or Scott, any comments there, or would you like to see that, or whatever? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and largely what you just suggested is kind of encompassing all those things that came before, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, to But to establish and review an onboarding process annually may be a good idea, so we can look at what our wins were and what our losses were in terms of process and maybe make changes. So yeah, that would be good.
Well, what I was looking at specifically, Evan and Brenda are new.
Mhm.
Okay, what are the steps we're gonna, when we have new members for onboarding, what are the steps we're gonna go through to make sure we bring them up to speed? I don't think
Yeah,
we've
that
got a
makes sense.
formal process.
Okay. I can't argue that. I think that would be an okay box to have.
Evan, it's your committee, and Brenda, your committee too. What did the two of you think?
I think it's a good idea. In fact, it would make me more comfortable because then I'll know these are the steps you go through to become a member. You know, not just having a willingness to do it, but this is what we expect of you.
Okay, and part of the, and again, however this committee wants to, process that. You see, my concern was we get a new member. So Scott, you joined us and, last year.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have a process for formally sitting down with you when you and I met at, what was it, Pete's or wherever?
Pete's in
Met at Pete's.
Danville, yeah.
Yeah, and then we started talking. So are we going to meet with people? And if I'm correct, we also had that Zoom call with Michael Pitts, the past chair.
Right.
I mean, do we want to formalize some things or steps? Or, and I think Brenda and Evan would be the best to guide us since they're new right now. And they've been through the retreat, but remember, what if the three alternates come on board?
Yes.
They don't have the advantage of the doggone retreat. So, so how do we onboard them? We got three people, they've agreed to serve.
Mhm.
How do we onboard those three?
So, yeah, some language, and that's more than onboarding. It's onboarding and orientation, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and so having a kind of a check off to make sure that those things occur is not a bad idea at all. And I have a question that this just raised on this subject. Monique, did we tape our orientation so that like our new members, let's say we get three alternates that come on in the next couple of months, can they review the orientation on video or tape?
So we've recorded our public meetings, but for did we call them Zoom talks? I think, Crawford, Zoom talks or something. I forgot. Cab talks. We called
Oh, what
Crawford
we
came
did,
up with
it was
name.
cab chat. We called it a
cab
cab
chat.
chat.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I don't believe we recorded those meetings. We certainly can, but the people would have to agree, yes, I'm okay with us recording the meeting. And it's not a public meeting. It was really just it was an onboarding kind of getting acquainted with the new members, right, Crawford?
Yes,
And
and
sometimes there was one person along with Crawford and a previous chair, or it could have been a number of people. I think we probably haven't had up to more than 3 people, but we certainly can record them as long as people agree to it.
Well, I thought you did maybe.
No, I don't think I did. I don't recall recording those meetings.
They were informal also,
Mhm,
just as
mhm.
the
The
meeting with
orientation
you,
was-
where
okay.
we just talked, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to meet with Brenda and the other individuals. Hey, those are just informal, but do we need more than that, was what I was getting at, because I'll be gone next year. So what are we going to do for the people that follow? Do we have something in place? That's
Well,
all.
I do like what Scott is saying. He's basically saying, perhaps we could record it and use it as a guide, something
Okay.
to follow and learn from it. And I think that if we were to record it, like I said, as long as everyone agrees to the fact that we're recording the meeting, and that could be stored in a folder in our repository, right? Just
Right,
for it,
right.
because it's an internal informal process. but it's something that you as in this committee could use as a guide, to improve upon.
Excellent then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll figure out how to make that a specific task on here, Monique? and
Yes.
then come back?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll talk to
wondering-
Patrice.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Monique.
Oh,
No.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm wondering in the, I'm wondering if this is like because we're talking about it in terms of a task and the outcomes goals. I'm wondering if this is a activity in the tasks column. What was it? The onboarding and information, right? And that a task associated with that is creating an onboarding process and developing materials for onboarding. That just as a task in itself, that seems like a pretty robust individual task and an associated membership cultivation. Because I also kind of think of like the membership cultivation, you're cultivating that, but then the onboarding piece is really once you've gotten to that, bringing them on. So you're harvesting the membership, so to speak, sticking with the agricultural terms here. Cultivation. If that task is, the onboarding, develop whatever the onboarding process, and that there's those things in there. Because one of the things that I'm thinking about is, definitely the use of video is really helpful. And I know here at the college and other places, we'll have students or other members of committee, do like a 3 or 5 minute, just kind of, this is what this thing is. Here's some information. This is where you can find this information. Here is the people, and it's something that would need to be updated very frequently, depending upon the membership changes or not. But it just seems like more of a robust thing, right? The onboarding and all of the things that you just talked about around task 6 related to membership cultivation seems to me like a different thing. But
Well, I think this is a really good conversation that we're having right now. And I think you're right. We're kind of taking a stab at it from a couple different directions. I like what Crawford has suggested. I like the thought that I had about recording our orientations so that we can reuse them throughout the year for people that are coming onto the board as an alternate or maybe straight to a membership voting member. This is an interesting subject, and I think it's an area that we could be better, Crawford, right? I mean, that's what this is about. And I don't know if do you want me to work on some language for task 6? And then we present it at our next meeting, because it's kind of hard. We can talk about it, but we need to have a draft to look at, right?
Okay. Well, Scott, why don't you then just take on that challenge? And now here's the problem though, based on the Brown Act and the number of people on this committee, he can't reach out to Evan, can he? Or can he, Monique?
Actually, 2 people can reach out to one another because that's not violating quorum. Quorum is 3.
Oh, okay, for this, well, wait a minute, now I'm gonna be off the committee.
Right. So there are
So you-
4 people on the committee,
Perfect,
right?
perfect then,
Excluding
yes.
you. So 2 people can correspond with one another without a violating quorum.
Okay, so then Scott could reach out to Evan independently.
Yeah.
Now, and then what if he tries to reach out to Brenda now? Is this separately? That's a violation then, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like, I think they call it a daisy chain meeting.
Right.
So it's
Yeah,
like he's
okay.
independently going through each person. So
Yeah.
yes, he would only go
Well-
through Evan, and then Evan could probably report to me. And if there's something I need to update, like I could update the actual work plan, which is a draft, and then I could send it out. I'll blind copy the members, and then they can respond to me individually to say, oh, did you really mean that? Or clarify that? And then that we can work
Uh-huh.
around it that way.
Okay, or to speed up the process, if Scott's gonna reach out to Evan, maybe you then, Monique, could reach out to Brenda right now. She's been part of this conversation, and she may have 2 or 3 thoughts that she would like to see. And then basically you're the gatekeeper, Monique, and you can
Yes.
grab the, perfect then.
I
perfect.
agree. So what I would suggest then is that the members actually reach out to me to provide input on each point. Now, they could do it obviously from this meeting, or they can let me update it. Either way is fine. But yeah, they can always reach out to me independently, and then I'll compile the information, just like we've done in the past with our highlights from our annual yearly
Yes.
meeting report. So that's the same situation. Just they can always reach out to me with their valid points, and I'll compile the information and then share it. I could share it with the members. I could blind copy you and share it, or it can come to our next meeting. So we could do it a number of ways.
Excellent then. So we're all set there then. Sounds good. Hey, thank you.
You're
Excellent.
welcome.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Scott. And Brenda, she can circle back to you. You'll circle to them. We got it.
Absolutely.
Okay, are we
Yes.
ready to move? Oh, excuse me. Was there another question?
No.
Okay, can we move then? Are we ready to move to the heading community outreach? And to review those tasks to see how we're going to move forward in 2023.
So I do have a hard 12:30 break if possible, so
Yeah.
time is moving on.
Okay, why don't we, okay, let's do task 1. Do you think it's necessary to update the PowerPoint?
I do, and I think it's simple. It's something that once a year we should probably look at, because as we innovate and we become better at what we do, we'd want to make sure our public presentation encompasses that. So I didn't, you and I could go over that. Any one of us could, and then
Well-
approve it as a group.
Okay, then Scott, then can you then assign that to Scott and me? I don't have to be on the committee to help you, Scott, so.
Right. No, I
You
mean,
and I can, yeah,
yeah. And then it really should be, I guess the whole cab should look at the product, right? At some point, but at least
Yeah.
you and I can initiate a kind of a review.
yes. And then take it through OCEC, because Evan may have, and Brenda may have some
Absolutely.
input.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so perfect then. So you and I will take the bull by the horn, and then Evan and Brenda will critique it. How's that?
Sounds
And
good.
then there'll be a final document to present to the cab board. Okay, good. Task number 2 here. Any comments on this particular item?
I just want to make a comment real quick. So Scott, I don't think that we will go past 12:30. I think you should be fine. This is the last agenda item, but then we will need to talk about next steps. And if Scott were to need to drop off, we still have quorum.
Oh, good.
Good,
Oh,
good.
good.
I don't think we anticipated going past 12:30.
That is correct.
I just
Thank
had
you.
someone come to the front door, so I'm going to step away just briefly. I'll be right
No
back.
problem. No problem.
Okay.
This task 2, so Nick Kenya is no longer here. Seems like a pretty important task.
Yes.
And so that log, is that something, is that what you shared with me, Crawford, that the list?
Yes. Those,
Okay.
because, you know, maybe there's an opportunity to, you know, meet with somebody out there, you know, be it a supervisor or the supervisor's assistant. And when we say meet, could be a Zoom call, could be a personal phone call, anything of that nature. And, you know, this is really important. You know, there's HIP, there's this quack. What does RSC stand for? I'm Monique.
Yes.
Reentry Success Center.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's where they have a steering committee, and I believe Kenya was attending those meetings, and I also attend from ORJ. So the next meeting
Okay.
for that is, I think it's on March 8th. But the representative, this will be a report out for external meetings.
Mhm. And again, now we have to be respectful, and this is the tough part, Evan. You know, you work, Reverend Van Hook's in the working stage, Brenda's got obligations, Scott does. These are a lot of meetings to attend to, in addition to the general cab meeting and this specific standing committee meeting. So we've just got to be sensitive to everybody's time constraints and time availability.
And Crawford, I want to add to that, those are examples of meetings. So not all of those meetings are the responsibility of OCEC, because remember Quack, Nicole Green always attended a Quack meeting.
Yes.
So I think you as a chair at the full body, you usually either reach out to the members overall and appoint people to be the representative, just so we can have representation at those meetings for CAB.
Yes.
So I think that's just a list of meetings that we have, but not all of them are for OCEC.
Okay. So do we want to assign somebody, or will this be all OCEC members?
I
Is
think
that
we might-
question for number
Go
two?
ahead, Scott. Yeah.
Task number 2, yes.
I mean, I think definitely an initial, you know, assign somebody initially to at least kind of go over the list, right, and make sure everything is there. Obviously that, well, maybe not obviously, but I wouldn't think that person would attend all of the Scrabble level of words of acronyms here. But
Yeah,
right,
I think you're correct there, Evan. I think it's more of identifying of the various members who can attend what meeting. And we would see if somebody has the opportunity, the availability of time, and understanding that we won't be able, or there's a possibility that we wouldn't be able to attend all of them, because that's just too much to ask. We don't have the resources to do that.
so is that something we can bring to the next meeting, that list?
Okay,
I don't know if the list has the meeting dates there, and we can figure that out. That's a good suggestion too, Monique.
all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Okay.
oh, go ahead, Scott.
we're having an issue, huh?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
hear.
good. Okay, but you can't see my screen though, right?
No.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then I'll reshare. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So we can continue with the meeting. I just have to find the agenda and reshare it.
Okay. That would take us then, I think, what is that? Are we moving to the last item, Monique? 'Cause
I think that was the last item, the work plan, but then we have next steps. If you all have.
Oh, no, I
anything.
thought there was one more item on task.
There,
wasn't
yeah,
there?
yeah, there was more than one item on task, but I cannot pull up the agenda right now, so.
Okay, so then we'll move that then to the next
To the next
item,
meeting, we can do
next
that.
meeting.
Yeah, we can
okay,
do that.
all
And
right.
it's 12:22, so, yeah.
So
Okay,
is it safe to say, Crawford, that Monique's gonna put together an improved draft? And we should then look at that improved draft for the next meeting? And in the meantime, I can work on task 6 under membership cultivation with Evan?
yes,
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of updating this checklist, or what I call a checklist, but it's kind of a guide. We can do that at any time, right? There's no rule that we can only do it at the beginning of the year. So I'll get moving on. Oh, Monique, do we have the new contact information? Have you distributed that for all the new members or a new roster?
Actually, I do have it updated and I'll send it out to you all.
If you could, because I want to reach out to Evan, of course, on this.
Okay, absolutely.
okay. Anything else for next meeting that you'd like to, or for next steps? Anything from your vantage point? Let's go to Brenda. Anything from your vantage point, Brenda? That you would like
Can
to
you-
see?
No, I'm good. I need to,
Okay.
yeah, I'm good.
Evan, anything from your vantage standpoint?
No, I think there's some clear next steps, and we'll kind of flesh out the rest of the work plan at that time.
Excellent. And Scott?
No, I think we're good. We've got some homework assignments here. And I have enjoyed the first meeting where I didn't have to run it.
Hey, we'll pass the pain on to Evan for the
Yeah,
next.
yeah. Watch him age like I have. Really, I'm quite young, Evan. It's what the position did to me that makes me look like
Oh,
this.
man.
Yeah. My mustache used to be completely black, and look what happened.
Oh, jeez. Well, I might be a little ahead of you there.
You're a little ahead of me, huh?
You guys are gonna run them off at the first meeting.
No.
Yeah, I
no.
know.
Okay. Hey,
Did
well,
we talk about membership, cultivation or retaining membership?
Yeah.
do we want to maybe talk about that, put that to the next meeting as a next step? Because once we get our plan in set for, what is it, for onboarding, maybe that will help us, for the revolving door. Because if we bring them in the right way, they won't just throw their hands up and say, gee whiz, I've had enough, I'm gone. Or I'll just complete 1 year. If that's okay, I'm willing to talk about it, but is that okay with you, Evan and Brenda, the next step for next meeting?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, all right.
So what I suggest also, Crawford and Evan, is that you all can send me any information that you'd like to update in those areas, and I'll take the information from what we've discussed at this meeting. I'll update the work plan, but it'll still be in draft form, so you guys won't vote on it today.
Yeah,
But we'll, but if you want to provide the information for me before the next meeting, and then I can update those sections, and then this will be an item that we started putting the work plan on every meeting because you're going to be going over the work plan, but right now we're developing it.
yes, okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, why don't we do this then? Unless there are any other questions or concerns, why don't we move to, oh, were there any questions? Can we then move to adjourn until February the 21st?
Sounds good.
Okay, and then thank you, Brenda, Evan, Scott, Monique, and Evan, it's yours next time, but I'll work with you in preparing it and whatever you need.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Monique Crawford had mentioned there's a meeting for the chairs where we,
The agenda planning meeting.
yeah, can you
So-
let me know when that is?
Yes, so actually I was going to send you all out something. So it would have been this past Monday, but because the structure of these meetings were the fourth week. So I'm proposing the 30th, which is Monday. And I was gonna wait until the 27th, which is tomorrow, right? Until after the policy and budget, I was gonna ask them. But since I'm with you all first, I'm sorry, today is not Thursday, today is Tuesday. So policy and budget is on Friday, so I was gonna wait until that meeting ended to send you all out something to ask if Monday, the 30th from 1 to 3 is okay. And even though we set it as a 2-hour meeting, Crawford usually will let the chairs go first. And if you, like, say if OCEC wanted to go first, you can go over your items for the next meeting. And then
Leave the
you
call.
can leave the call, exactly. And
Okay,
then, yeah, so you guys know first then. I looked at the calendar, it's January 30th, if that's okay for you all.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
Monique,
for the chairs. Mhm.
yeah,
yeah.
you and I may have to talk because that time is not, this coming year, that time is maybe not gonna work for me at least.
Okay,
For
I'm
me, it
flexible
isn't.
with the time.
So, I was trying to look at if we could do it, maybe start at 3.
Oh,
And then
okay,
hold that meeting to no more than an hour because, you hour and a half here, an hour and a half
Yeah.
at the general meeting, and if we start yakking too much.
well, that works for me, Crawford. 3 and
Okay.
an hour works for me. I would just suggest that the chairs, they come in with their ideas. And then, of
Yes.
course, I'll have ideas. And then we
Yep.
can make it real quick. Because I think
There
we've
you
done a
go.
good job of streamlining the
Yeah.
meeting already. So, okay, 3 is fine, 3 to 4, it works for me.
Okay, and also Scott, for Evan, if you want to do that planning before that Monday meeting, you and I could talk before the football game again. We can get our 2 cents in, bam, 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 and then you're done. And then
Yeah,
when you get to the meeting, you do it. And because, Scott and I used to bam, bam, bam with this stuff. We don't want to, hey, we don't want to turn this into a dissertation. Hey, get
No.
your facts done, get it done, and get back to work.
okay,
Okay. All right. Thank
sounds
you.
good.
So
Take
a
care.
minute to spare.
Yes.
all right, thank you for that.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Oh.